Welcome to Brightly, You Radiant Being, the show that wildly recognizes, encourages, and invests in the radiance we all carry so you can shine your brightest. Each episode, we share soul driven advice and topics to help you live more brightly in mind, body, and spirit. Through sharing our experiences, friendship, and passions, we hope to impact you to step more brightly into yourself, inch by inch. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Tracy. I feel like we haven't done this for a while. I don't know why. Did we do it last week?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
I mean, to everybody else, we did.
That's right.
I was what did we call it, or what did Siri call it? A disgusting hockey laugh mess, or what did she call it?
Yes.
And you knew exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
I had a disgusting hacky cough last week, and I tried to text that to Amy, saying maybe I shouldn't be near a microphone. And she, as I was like typing the correction to autocorrect, she's like, "No, I got that." Just what you meant.
That's right. That's terrible. I forgot because you weren't feeling. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you're
Here
on
we
the
are,
mend.
and
Yeah.
hopefully I don't cough into a microphone, so we should be okay.
Well, you are a human being, and I'm sure everyone can give you the grace of that, right?
But it's, I mean, unfortunately, sadly, that's part of this time of year, though, right? Like,
Yes.
it's getting colder.
Yes.
The sun is setting earlier. I'm gonna descend into darkness if you're watching on YouTube. Like, we started a little earlier, but we got
darkness.
we got chatty, and now it's almost pitch black behind me. Now I can't reach the light. I don't care.
It's shocking that we got chatty.
But okay, so did you know this will probably be the last time we'll fall back in America for daylight savings time this year?
I did know that. Yeah, I'm actually very excited about that.
You know what they're voting on? Did you know what they called it?
No.
What they have to like rectify still? The Sunshine Protection Act.
Are you effing kidding me?
If the United States wasn't dramatic before, that is one of these.
Protecting the sunshine, MF. This is very important.
I kind of like it because, like, I want to protect my internal sunshine this time of year too, though, right? Like, I'll steal that. I'll be dramatic.
I will give you all the votes on that one. I'm all for personal drama. I mean, the good dramatics, just not.
So in terms of like when I think about like protecting my personal sunshine,
yeah.
I actually what I've been thinking about more and more this year, and it started this summer. But like, what is my sun? So like I started thinking about my New Year's Eve resolutions in about July, which is, I'm not that much of a control freak, planner, prepper, smart goaler. It's because my birthday's in August, and I try and treat that like a personal New Year and actually start goals around my trip around the sun, not everyone else's, right? And I couldn't really come up with stuff. I was really struggling with what I wanted it to be, and I was like, that's cool. We can do it when everybody else does it at the end of the year, right? We could do it on a random Tuesday in November. Who cares, right?
Yes.
But so when I start thinking about goals, it feels like another task. Like, there's nothing I'm excited about, right? Like, I did get into, like, I took tap dancing this spring.
You did.
What? I liked my little tippity tappity, and it was a fun. I think it ended up being 5 weeks because the instructor became ill. But like, it was fun, and it reminded me of like when I was a kid, and I did do like the structured choreography dance, and it made me. I do want to do it again, but like, I was like, it's not your sun yet. Like, I created my own little storm cloud because I was like, I do want more than this community ed class full of people who have never danced before and don't know choreography, but like, I don't quite feel in shape enough yet to join a tap class. And I also don't feel like
was that your storm cloud?
That was the storm cloud, was the, I don't feel ready yet, right?
Okay.
I was like, okay,
I like that analogy, Tracy. I like that. The whole sun and the storm cloud. I'm on
right.
board.
Like, I got in my, I put up my own shade blockers, right?
Yeah,
like I grew a tree, I put a shade thing, an umbrella, a tent, like whatever you do in the summer. I'm Irish, I get it. I don't like to be touched by the sun, but I like that it's there. I almost made Amy do a spit take. You drink water at the wrong time. But so back to the whole New Year's Eve, the goal thing. So I started thinking about, okay, this spring I did a bunch of stuff that used to bring me um happiness and
Yeah.
excitement and like sunny days, sunny warm feelings, or stuff that I've always been curious about and thought would, right? And like nothing clicked or felt right. So then I was like, okay, well, if you're not excited about anything, maybe you just need to find your passion or your purpose. And I was like, dear Lord, that sounds daunting. And I've done it before. I'll most likely have to do it again. And not this year. No, ma'am. No, thank you. No, how. Like,
Mhm.
and so I was like, okay, I still I still want to be working towards something or have something I'm excited or enthusiastic about, or like, what is it I'm really searching for? And I was like, you know what? I need to follow my son. And like, I need to define what my son is, not what my purpose or my passion is, but what is my son? What creates my sunny days? What
Okay.
warms me up and illuminates me?
Yeah, I knew that the title was going to be Following Your Son or Follow Your Son. But when you put it that way, like, what is my son? Not my purpose or, something like that, like you described as this daunting thing, the reason I am here, but more like what would make me happy while I'm here. That feels
Well,
light
and if
and
you
airy.
remember, so typically in fall, especially as we get darker, I go for trail hikes and sometimes I do it on like lit nature paths and stuff like that. But sometimes when it's just like it's going to be too dark to do that or it's too far in the season for the lit pass or whatever, I would go on a vibe drive and I'd chase sunsets. Like I'd just pick a road and drive west until
You're
the sun
right.
wasn't there
You
anymore.
told me about that.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, I'm quite literally following the sun. Maybe it's not a metaphor some days, but maybe it can be.
Literally, go outside and follow the sun.
Just chase it, man. Just head west and run. Um, but so I've just been thinking about this year, what's been missing, and what's been missing last year, and is like I want a solar flare moment,
Oh.
right?
Oh, so you want like a like so tell me, okay. So in my head I'm considering a solar flare being like from the heavens coming down and you going, "Yes, that's what I want." Or is it something that you find yourself and then that moment is created within you?
Both and. I'll take two, please.
I'll have what she's having.
Okay, so solar flare. So in my work, I get to work with our county emergency manager or management director. And one of the things he's really passionate about is someday the sun is going to have such a solar flare, it's going to completely destroy our electrical grid. And I say that really excitedly because that's just so interesting that the sun can just be like, "Wah," and then all of a sudden I don't have a cell phone
No,
that day.
I think it's interesting as well. I
And I
do.
love it
I do.
because we're preparing for it, so we're
Right.
fine.
Yeah. So
But
we're fine.
we're
At
fine. We're
least
fine, everybody.
Tracy is. Tracy's fine. Just so you
It's
know.
just anticipated in the next 20 to 200 years. Like we're fine. But so it made me look at, so a solar flare in astronomy is defined as a brief eruption of intense high energy radiation from the sun's surface. Um and I was like, I would like a brief eruption of intense high energy whatever
Yes.
to come
Yeah.
into my life. And then I set hobbies and goals and routines and schedules from there.
Yeah.
Um,
But that is depending on something from like shooting down from the divine or something like that as well, or the sun, since I'll just take the metaphor to bed with me. And not dependent. It doesn't sound like it's dependent from within you.
so I think so that's a great point. So I think on the flip side of it as well, what I will also be working on. So externally, it's looking for the solar flare moment of your
Okay.
life, right?
Sure. Sure.
Or just being open and ready for it to happen. So I feel like I'm kind of taking the pressure off of myself of discovering my passion and my purpose and my place on this earth and why I am here, and that it's only one thing and I'm running out of time to find it and do it well, right? So I'm taking that off the table and being like, we're just gonna find our sun. So some of our sunny moments might be like that tap class, like I said.
Yeah.
But sunny days don't last all the time. And so it's okay that that sunny day, it's not here right now. Maybe it'll come around
Mhm.
again, right? Um, And some moments will be like this giant solar flare, and that's just like a fun, exciting way to kind of think about it and what it can bring. But you're right. Sometimes it is internally driven.
Mm-hmm.
I once saw, I don't even know what she calls herself anymore. So my former Kundalini yoga instructor, is also a life coach, and she does all sorts of other things. Nicole Nardoni.
Mm-hmm.
I had a one-on-one with her, and she had me work on we had like this hopscotch grid of 10. Like, she had me tear off these little pieces of paper, and what we worked on was she had me think about this thing and then generate what that heat or the warmth of like what a 1 would be, what a 2 would be, what a 3 would be. And what it really showed me was that, I mean, it took some time working with her on this, but that I could get myself to a level 10 of internal energy and warmth and feeling, that I didn't need that external prompt.
Wow, Tracy.
Right? We gotta have her on the show someday.
Yeah.
But so the other part of it, yes, is where can I generate a little warmth and heat myself?
Mhm.
Where can I be my own sun? And like in other areas, like that solar flare moment will
Oh,
help
where
me
can wait, wait,
identify
wait,
what to follow.
just wait. Where can I be my own sun? So I don't know if we can dig into that a little bit,
Do it. What do you got?
but it's just when I think about where can I be my own sun, I think about a few different things. One thing is like, okay, if I'm just remembering a sunny day, and I'm using the metaphor sunny day, just like you did when you said, yeah, top class was like this little sunny day. And that also got me thinking about things like it doesn't have to be this bright, no clouds in the sky sun. It can be, oh, here's a nice little peak of the sun, right?
Well, because
And
that's the other thing. You don't want to get a sunburn, right?
yeah,
Like some of these
yeah,
things you could get sun poisoning from, like everything in moderation,
yeah. I
expect it to
think of
go away and
those.
come back.
Right. I think of those like love affairs that just like, oh,
All
sort of like
encompassing.
that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, bam, destroyed lives all around them. And then, fizzled.
Yeah, like the solar flare I want is more like the ignition, right? Like it's gonna reach out
Yes.
and touch me, tap me, and let
Yeah.
me know what sun to follow. And yes, you're right. In the meantime, or also in addition to, I can try and generate my own warmth and heat in a certain
Mm-hmm.
area.
Mm-hmm. So then I'm wondering too, can these little sunny days, like just searching if maybe following your sun also seems daunting, like what is my sun, to experiment like you did and find these fun little things and say, well, that was fun. Well, that was fun. Oh, this was really fun. And I want to go deeper.
Or like in
It's
the past, I've called them my bright and shiny days,
yeah,
where
yeah,
you just
yeah.
wake up and you're just having a good day, or you're just vibing, or everything's working
That
great,
feels
or
like your
just have a good
internal
mood.
sun. That's your
Well,
internal sun.
I think that those are the moments where you have to reflect back on and be like, what was I doing before that day? Why did I wake up bright and shiny that day? Or what
Mm-hmm.
happened that day to support the bright sunshininess of my life?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So do you have a
Okay.
sun that you currently are following?
Well, so as you were talking, when you said a few different things that you were saying, all of a sudden I was thinking about my day yesterday. I spent, wait, what day is today?
That doesn't matter.
Thursday? Tuesday. It was Tuesday. Um, it doesn't matter, but I just still want to get this right because I'm now of an age where apparently it matters if it was Tuesday or Wednesday. Um, I spent the day with my daughter and we had a spa day together and it was just the two of us. And we haven't been just the two of us in I don't know how long, like literally so long. And it was absolutely my son. It was absolutely that. It was just like this bright, sunny day for me. And so while you were talking, I was like, oh, my children are part
Oh, it's
that
beautiful.
is like I always think of these things like, oh, I want to develop programs for women and write books. And yes, those are also a part of the sun. But if I dig deeper, it truly is my children, my friends, my family, my sisters, my brother, my husband. Sorry, Rick, you were like fifth on the list. Sorry about that. Um, it's the people, for me, it's the people who are close. That's my son.
I love that. See, when I was thinking about following my son, I was thinking about that perfect day you created on your vacation a little bit ago.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
you did a really good job of like creating a day that would let the sun shine through where you
But
could follow it.
that sunny day was filled with, and actually it had been that week. I saw my daughter, I saw you, I
You
saw,
did talk about that in that episode too.
yes,
Yeah, that's a
yes.
wow, what a great connection. Yeah, you built your um when you think about the earth revolves around the sun, right? Like
Mhm.
you've built this community of people that you can revolve around to generate that warmth for you. Because I was
Yeah.
also going to say, throughout all this, especially if nothing comes to mind or if you're still kind of looking for your sunny days, just going back to what we talk about, being someone else's sunny day. Um, and thinking about how you can shine bright for another or how can you generate enough light to share, right? They say when you're really depressed, they actually recommend volunteering, right?
You
Like,
told me that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you never want to give so much of yourself that you don't have anything left to give to
Mhm.
yourself, right?
Mhm.
But definitely like helping other people is and being around people that make you feel good is a great way to kind of generate a temporary sun, right?
And
Um,
I
to
also
be like I have
feel,
I have right here, ooh, wow, that's really bright.
well,
I have my vitamin
talk
D
about
happy
following your
lamp,
son.
right?
Yeah.
I have a little like I have a little gadget, this solar panel indoor thing that in the winter months I have on in the morning when it's supposed to be
Yeah.
sunny.
Yeah.
And I generate light that way. So how can you generate it metaphorically?
Yeah. So I also feel that if you are around people who either you love to shine your sunniness on or you feel like they're your sun, it also sort of opens up um not opportunities, but it opens up maybe thoughts about, oh, this would be really fun to do this with so and so, or to do this for someone else. Or so I feel like just being around other people who feel like your son helps you think about other things that might also feel like your son.
I like that. And I think too, like passion and purpose becomes a task. It's something to achieve, right? Like it's an
Yeah.
achievement or something that you rate and scale progress on. And I feel
Yeah.
like for me, like a recent sunny day I had recently, so I was feeling very burdened and overwhelmed by how far behind I got in some aspects of life because of COVID, right? Like I had a week where I was sick, and then a week where I was just fatigued and just kind of gently went back into my life. But then suddenly I was at a point where I was like, got to catch up at school, want to do stuff for the podcast. I have other hobbies I do want to do. Oh my God, I haven't cleaned my house in forever. I have to prepare for fall. Winter is coming, right? Like there was all this stuff. And I was just starting to stress. And I was like, you're going to make yourself sick again if you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
stop. And so I was like, what do you just want to do? What would bring you happiness or joy or like just calm you the F down because your life is not this stressful? And I binge watched a television show and played a ridiculous computer game I hadn't played in a year. And I like that taking that time to have a silly sunny day where I just played, outside, right? Or just played in my sun, right? Played out in the sun. Allowed me then, I had one of the most productive weeks at work I've had. And it also, I calmed down enough that I just emailed my professor and I was like, hey, I know you wanted everything by this Tuesday. It's not happening. Here's when it will. Like, this is what I had to focus on and here's what it could. And um, so like allowing myself just to have like to follow that sun where it led me, like it
Yeah.
wasn't a goal. It wasn't quote unquote productive in a like, but when you think about it, it was productive. It was a type of rest. Like I think they say there are like 7 types of rest, right? Um, and then getting caught up at work allowed me then to feel better about, this podcast is my son in a lot of moments, right? And so it allowed me to be more creative with
Mm-hmm.
that instead of feeling burdened and like, oh, I got to do this when you never feel that way for me, right? To me, and nobody else knows what we're thinking about.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so like the clouds kind of started to go away in other areas of my life. And so it wasn't that solar flare moment, I'm not finding that stuff I'm really connecting with, but I am just like, it's the difference between, a February Minnesota Tuesday morning and a June 21st Tuesday morning, right? Like, talk about internally finding your son. Like,
Okay, so I have a few things that I want to talk about with that. First of all, I love it that you just said, okay, what's going to make me feel better right now, right? What's just going to make me feel better right now? And if I feel like if you had pushed yourself to try and be productive, achieve something, and I'm saying these words with air quotes for those of you not on YouTube, I think it would have dug you in deeper,
yeah.
or like you said, it might have made you sicker. So the fact that you sort of took a vacation from everything and you just said, this is what I'm doing.
But it was intentional, right? Like we have that
Yes.
quadrant 4 ways we waste time. I didn't just scroll on TikTok on my phone
No, you were
or
like,
absent,
this is
right? I
what
was like,
I'm
and
doing.
I'm doing it because it feels good and I'm not stopping until it doesn't feel good until I don't
Right.
want to do it anymore. I'm not putting
Right.
parameters on this.
Right. But I
And the
love
last
it
time,
then
oh,
that
go on.
you, it just like, yep, that's what I did. And now today I'm going to do this. And now the next day I'm going to do this. And it just sort of like let everything flow after it.
Well, and then part like the last time, because when thinking about like where are times this year where I followed my son, so I used to sew at least every Christmas for a couple of years, gifts, these rag dolls for people. And when I
They're
bought my house,
very, very cute,
thank you.
everyone.
When I bought my house, I even dedicated my guest room as also my sewing room, and I bought it.
Yeah.
I even bought a little table at IKEA and bought some stuff at Joann. So I had like a cutting floor, and I bought all these bins and filled it with the fabric and organized it, and then I didn't touch it for 4 years. Many, many reasons, but you would have thought during the pandemic I could have got a lot of sewing done, right? No, I didn't. And then for various reasons, because it was kind of feeling burdensome in a task, and I did have projects I wanted to make, but like I just kind of got out of it and I forgot that I liked it. And then this year
Oh,
I kind
wait,
of had,
wait,
I forgot
wait.
that I liked it.
Yes. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
And so I had this, so I make these rag dolls. They're for little kids, but their parents also like them too. So I started making the parents their own parent rag dolls as well when I gift the children their dolls. But so or I've done that once so far. But so when I meet people, I kind of have an idea of what their rag doll persona would be, what the outfit would be, what materials I would use for their different features.
Like every person you meet?
Um, People I would gift rag dolls for. So it's
Okay. Okay.
so like if people I know have kids or kids on the way, like especially if I hear someone's expecting, it's like an immediate, like my brain's like, oh, they're really into so like my sister and her son, he was really into superheroes and his first name starts with the letter G and he was really into the letter G. So I made G-Man and Princess Butterfly Moon, and they were superheroes and they had masks and like fancy, like the patterns on the fabric reflected, like he was really into the color purple and he had a letter G on his chest, and hers was very celestial, fairy, fancy, free, right? Um and so I had a friend who had announced that he was expecting, but he was also going to be moving. And I know like a good chunk of our relationship, kind of similar to colleagues, were neighbors. And I was like, oh, I'm probably not gonna get to see him much once he moves. Usually I like to gift these rag dolls when the kids are old enough to receive them and play with them. But I was like, oh, and I like they're moving by this date and this, like, okay, if I'm gonna do this idea that I've had since I met him, because I knew he always wanted kids, like I got to do it now, right? And I think I sewed for like 72 hours straight, right, Amy? It was just like a Friday through Sunday, and because I had this small window and I had this idea in mind, And it was so much fun, even with that pressure. And like I was attending meetings while doing whip stitches by hand. Like if I had a like a webinar for work or something like that where I didn't have to like be actively doing something for work,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, stuffing this doll with chopsticks like they're tiny, right? Like doing whatever I could. I'm cutting out patterns and things like that. And I remembered I liked it, right? But I did it a little too much. I flew a little too close to the sun and I burnt out on it.
Okay. Oh, these metaphors are killing me. I love them so much.
It's so easy, right? The sun has so
Yeah.
many. But so I know, like, so I have ideas for other people I know. So spoiler alert, if you listen to this show, like I haven't forgotten about you. I like to give them when the kids are old enough to play with them. Stop asking about it, Brooke. I have a plan in place. I've had it since before you got married. It's been a decade. Calm down. Anyways, I know like next time, take a more measured approach and treat it like I'm following my son and remember it's fun and I like this and to take breaks so that I don't burn out on it.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, do you have anything that you flew too close to the sun and you forgot you liked?
So typically that is what happens to me. Like
We're
I also
Sagittariuses.
yeah. So I love to knit. And
I didn't know that about you.
yeah, well, all I can only knit scarves. That's it.
I can only sew dolls.
Okay. And what happens is it's typically very close to Christmas when I think I should knit everyone a scarf. and then I'm furiously like my hands hurt. So it's something that's very cathartic for me and I love it and I love picking out the different colors and things like that. And so what happens is this exact same thing. I love to knit. I love to create designs and sew things. I love to create jewelry. Um, uh, there's so many things. The garden, but then I do the exact same thing, Tracy. I try and get too much done in too short amount of time instead of just letting it be over this like maybe I have to plan too far in advance. I'm not sure what
So
it is.
you said something before the show though when I brought up the game thing and you're like dopamine, dopamine, dopamine.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's
Yeah.
part of it, right? And I think that for me is a sign that I hadn't been allowing that. Like the computer game tells me how many hours I played and the last time I played and it was like god, I really haven't touched this since my surgery. Like I used to love doing this like once a month or so, just having
Yeah.
like a Sunday off where I just kind of like do this and just have fun. Like, that's kind of sad. Why haven't I done it? And I was like, because you got really rigid with your goals and with what you have and haven't accomplished and all these things you wanted to do in life as though this was the only year you were going to achieve them ever. I mean, I took glass blowing, glass cutting, tap dancing. I mean,
Foraging.
foraging. I forgot about that. All the different gardening classes, like every single thing you could
Knife
possibly imagine.
sharpening.
I just recently made kombucha and then went back for a different fermenting class. Like, so I'm still doing it.
You you did do a lot of different
Archery.
things.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my
I
gosh,
did. Oh
so
yeah. So
many.
I think I just I oh, another metaphor then. You know when you're like camping or did you ever do those like wilderness courses where you're trying to start a fire with like the flint
Oh
rocks or
yeah.
whatever? I feel like that's
Yes.
what the spring was I was just trying to find that spark, right?
Yes.
And part of it is you do have to register in advance. So I was like, let's just throw something at the fan and see what sticks to the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like instead of, we've talked in the past, like we're less about resolutions and just more about smart goals and what do you want to achieve and how
Mhm.
I'm too big on stretch goals, right? Like
Mhm.
internally I know what my own conservative goal, what the bare minimum I'm willing to accept is, but what I tell everybody else and what I write down and what all my plans are around are the stretch goals. And then I burn out, right? Or I get interested in something else that dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. So I'm just going to try and just continue to pay attention to like what's bringing me sunny days
Mhm.
and how I can generate more of that. And I love your idea of like who around you helps nurture those
Yeah.
sunny days.
You know what this is making me think of too? And I used to be a huge, huge fan. Not kind of got burnt out on this person, but I did used to love this person, Danielle Laporte.
Oh,
And
same. Oh my God.
okay,
I
yeah.
would binge her because she does her
So
podcast
would
in
I.
6 week sprints, right? Or
I
Arcs of
don't know, but
Conversation. She only has
but
like
her
4 or 5
books
episodes. Oh, yeah,
and
she has
her
3 or 4
books are
books.
really good, and but then it just got to be just a little too much. But what it's making me think of is, she wrote that book on it's not so much what you want to achieve, it's how you want to feel.
Hmm.
And so when you're talking about following my son instead of this, achievement, purpose, goal, that type of thing. I feel like the sun is more how it's making you feel in the moment. And so I love that. And and that's why I think it's a kinder, gentler way of going about your life and a happier way because you're just constantly going, well, that wasn't my son, or that was nice, but I don't think it was a solar
Or,
flare.
oh,
Instead of
hey, that
going,
made me feel bright and shiny for a week. Yes, please. I
yes,
want more, please.
more please, instead of going, well, didn't achieve that goal. I'm a
Well,
loser.
and so part of it, so back to how you want to feel. So
Yeah.
I have an accountability partner, and we were
Yeah.
talking about like the things we want to achieve and like quantifying and holding each other accountable.
Mhm.
And I said, one of my problems was I didn't really have a goal I was working towards or one I was excited about, and so I wasn't being consistent or accountable because I just kept letting stuff drop, and it didn't matter because I was like, I have to admit, it turns out I don't really want this, right? I pursued this for 3 to 6 weeks, not bringing me sunshine, right? Like not making me
Yeah.
feel good. And so his brother wrote a book, which is not in front of me, and we do want to have him on the show someday. So I'll put it in the gram. Um, but it starts with when finding out what your goals are, finding out how you want to feel. And I did the exercise, and I did come up with 10 ways I want to feel, and that didn't lead to goals. So I said, you know what? When we meet, my worksheet is going to have the 10 things I want to feel. And I'm going to every week when I plan my week, write out what I'm going to do to help me feel that way this week. And I want you to help me be accountable to making sure that I'm proactively making sure I feel these things, right? And so one of the things I put was skilled. And I said, I think my biggest problem with these goals is I really want to be skilled at a lot of things. But I have to
Mhm.
be honest, at my age and with how much time I have and with where my attention goes, I'm never going to be the next Olympian. I'm not going to become a master gardener, at least not in this point in my life. I'm still pretty young. I still could master a lot of skills. But I was like, you know what? For all the different things I'm responsible for, I'm not going to be as good, right, as I want to be at these things right away. And I've always just wanted to be like really, really great at something, like just have a thing I'm known for, people go to me for. And I was like, you know what, Tracy? Like, it's that whole like, oh, what's that saying? Like, it's better to be a master of none than be only a master of one. Like, so that's the jack of all trades saying. So, jack of all
Mhm.
trades, it's better to be a master of none because you know so much about so many things. And so it's like, okay, you know what? Like we can keep dabbling. We don't have to focus on like learning how to play the piano and being a great piano player, right? Or even being proficient or whatever. We were being an amazing tap dancer, right? Um, and instead, we can just focus on having the sunny days, having fun with these things, right? Like, let's say I do start a vegetable garden and then forget about it and things die. Fine. My goals can be seasonal. My hobbies and my son can be seasonal, right? Like, I will seasonally chase these things. That's okay. Um, but
Couldn't you be
yeah.
skilled at having sunny days?
Ooh, I want to feel bright and shiny. And so yeah, so I'll try and see if I can make that some sort of template that if other people want it, I want to feel, and then the different options and things like that and the rest of the sheet.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that. I
yeah,
love
because some
that.
of them, oh, I wish I didn't anticipate talking about, but that's probably a future show. But yeah, so I have been trying to focus more on like, how do I want to feel each week? And you know what? I don't want to feel guilty or shameful or stressed about not doing things I'm the only one that said I was going to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Agreed. I don't want you to either. And I don't want to feel that way either.
Right? Like it's important to have goals and deadlines and achieve things that you want to achieve. But if you don't have that, like I can still be my best and brightest self, binge watching TV and playing a computer game.
Well, seriously, you can. And I also like the fact that not everyone does know what it is like that they want to. Like, this is my dream. This is my goal. This is my purpose. No, I would say most people don't. They're like, I don't know. And I'm with you. I think it puts a huge burden on people. And so I think more so like following your son, I mean, that is just to I envision it and it's this lovely vision in my head. And so it makes me feel light about not light, you know what I mean? Like, oh, there's no burdens when I think about it.
Oh,
So
it's
I'm
kind of
all
like
in.
that Marie Kondo, like, does this make me feel joy? And then you pause,
Yes.
and then that Gilmore Girl mother, Emily Gilmore, just throws it away. And I'm just more like, does this make me feel bright and shiny? Nope, not doing it. And I do, you still have responsibilities. That's not what this
You
podcast
still,
is about.
yeah, you still have to go to work, Amy.
For now, some of us are a little closer to retirement than others.
Woohoo!
Some of us are currently drafting in the final edits of our next worldwide bestseller. And some of us still need to schedule the weekend where she just drafts an outline.
Only if it's your son.
All right. Well, if this episode shone a little sun on your soul, please share it with a friend. And if you have time, give us some love on your preferred platform with a rate, review, and subscribe. You can also reach out to us via Instagram and YouTube under The Brightly Podcast or via email at brightlypodcast@gmail.com.
And with that, we hope you have a bright, beautiful, and sunny day.